On Daf 32 of Yoma, we get the statement that the destruction of Egypt was to come out of the north. And by the north, they meant the Babylonians, who were going to come and destroy Egypt after they also destroyed Israel during that same period of time when they destroyed the first temple. But what's interesting is I went into Google Maps as I was making this video, and I put in Cairo and Baghdad, and you see that Baghdad is like due east of Cairo, pretty close, a little farther north, but really it's like pretty much due east. So why don't we say that the destruction was going to come out of the east? And it all has to do with the fact that the way the world operated back then was very different. These days we get on a plane, you just go boop to wherever it is that you're headed. In fact, travel from Israel to India just a year ago was a really long flight because there are all these countries that wouldn't let us fly over them. We had to go all the way this big roundabout route in order to get to India. Now it's a short flight because now we're able to fly over some of these states. Well, it's not quite the circumstances you had back then, but it's kind of similar. There was terrain that you couldn't easily cross. And so Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonians, they didn't cut straight across. They didn't attack Israel through like the Dead Sea, which would have been a very direct route. That was a really difficult route. They came up from the north and down through Israel, from north to south and down through into Egypt. That was the way the armies would move during that day. And so the threat, even though it was coming from an eastern country, was coming straight down from the north. Now, actually, now that I said that, it's important to know I said down from the north as opposed to sideways from the east because our maps, of course, have the north on top and have the east on one side, the west on the other side, and the south on the bottom. The ancient maps, by the way, didn't have that at all. The ancient maps had it flipped around. They didn't have poles. That's why we have the north and south at the top and bottom, because we have a world with poles. They didn't know about the poles. They knew about the rising sun. So their maps always had the east at the top, not the north. Just a little side note.